Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlyn Coaching. I just have to tell you, I look forward to this all week. I wish it was truly interactive so we could talk and chat back and forth. But if you have any questions or any comments, put them in the notes. I don't know that I'll necessarily see them while I'm talking, but I'll definitely get back with you on them later, or message me or whatever. I would love to talk to you about the different things that we're discussing. At Kimberlyn Coaching, we help women find their strength and flourish after major life transitions. We have been having a series on the energy influencers. These are the factors that affect us in our lives. They help us be enthusiastic and have a lot of energy, or they drain us and drag us down and make us not engaged in what we want to be doing if they're not optimal. So we have talked about spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical factors. Today we're going to go on and we're going to talk about the social influencer. We're going to become aware of how society and people around us affect us and how to make this factor work for us and not against us. Just a reminder, I record all my videos and I put them on my website, kimberlyncoaching.com. Go to the Springboard tab and then you can catch up on the videos on this series, and you can watch all my past series also. So have you ever been excited about doing something, but then when you tell the people around you, they're all kind of, that doesn't sound so good, and they're kind of naysaying and they're kind of negative about it, and your enthusiasm kind of lessens. You don't feel so excited anymore. Or the other way around. People around you are talking about something they're all excited about and you're not really very interested. But as you spend time with them, you hear them talking passionately and excited about it, then your interest starts to develop and you start to have a different thought about it. People affect us. We do not live in a vacuum. We live in society, and the people around us affect us whether we want them to or not. We can have some control over how much they affect us, and we can have some control about who we allow in our circle of influence. So the factors that we looked at before, the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical, were all kind of internal factors. The social influencer is more externally. We're talking about how people and society and culture around us affect us. We don't exist in a vacuum, and how we react to and interact with other people have a strong, I don't know if I should have said has or have there. The way we react to people has a strong influence on the way we live our lives and the joy and the power and the energy that we feel. In his book, Mastery, Robert Greene says, "Often the greatest obstacle to our pursuit of mastery comes from the emotional drain we experience in dealing with the resistance and the manipulation of the people around us. We misread their intentions and we react in ways that cause confusion or conflict. Navigating smoothly through the social environment, we have more time and energy to focus on learning and acquiring skills. Success attained without this intelligence is not true mastery and will not last." So what he said was, if we can have social skills, if we can make choices of the way we interact with people, this just makes life easier. So today we're going to talk about our desired amount and type of social interaction, and we're going to talk about the influence of others, dealing with catabolic relationships. So let's talk about our social interaction. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? There's nothing wrong with either way. We think of it as introverts liking to be by themselves, and introverts liking people. It's not actually that simple. Both kinds of people love people and love to be with people. The difference is that introverts recharge by being alone. So an introvert might do better at a job where they work by themselves or work with a few people. An introvert might be happier with one-on-one relationships rather than going to a big party, while an extrovert recharges by being with people. So extroverts like being in groups. They like working in groups. They enjoy being with a lot of people. So it's good for you to know what is your preference, what is your tendency, how do you enjoy life better. And then once you decide that, then you can make some changes in your life. So the situations that you're in right now, how well do they honor your tendency? And how can you make changes? So let's say you're an introvert and you work in a job where you're with a whole bunch of people all the time. Maybe you need to take some little breaks. You go have a little walk break or a little meditation break, and you have a little bit of alone time to let yourself recharge and rejuvenate. Maybe you're an extrovert and you're working at home alone all the time. Maybe it's just you in your house and you need some people. So maybe you join some Zoom meetings, or you call somebody on the phone, or you find some ways to be with people. We can't always just be in the situation that we want that goes along with our tendency, but we can make some changes to make those situations better. And if we're truly unhappy where we are, maybe we can start in motion a way to move on and change that situation. So let's talk now about catabolic relationships. Now, catabolic, remember we talked about catabolic, it's draining, it's destructive, wears you down. And there are people in your life, I am really bad with all my grammar today, but there are people in your lives that drag you down, that drain you. They could be family, they could be friends, they could be coworkers, and these people have a negative drain on you. Now, there's a difference in catabolic and abusive, and I'm actually going to talk about abusive too, but right now we're just going to talk about relationships that are catabolic, and they're hard relationships, but they're not necessarily abusive, okay? So when we're dealing with these kind of people, if we just let them control us all the time, then we end up with little energy, little enthusiasm. We end up with resentments, all kind of negativity in our life. So when we have these relationships, it's good to know, first of all, which ones they are. So maybe make a list of the people that you feel like are your catabolic relationships, and think about, how do these relationships make you feel? So on a scale of 1 to 10, list beside each one of those, how willing are you to change this relationship? 1 means I'm not willing at all to change it. 10, I'm totally willing to change it. So there are 5 methods for managing catabolic relationships. Unfortunately, most people only use option 1. Now, these are simple to say, they're not always simple to do. We're going to talk about them, and if you need any help in working out any of this with some of your relationships, feel free to call me, contact me on my website, consider hiring me as your coach. Fill out the form at the bottom of the Work With Me page, and we can talk and visit and see how we want to go forward. So this process, there's five parts to the process. 1 is remain a victim to it, 2 is leave it, 3 is accept it, 4 is change it, and 5 is change your perspective of it. So let's talk about remaining a victim to the relationship. This is the one that most people stay at. They don't do anything. And if you're going to remain a victim, you're going to feel a loss of control, you're going to feel powerless, you're going to feel a lot of anger, grief, and depression. So remaining in a relationship which decreases your energy can drain you until there is nothing left. I don't know if you've had a relationship like that. I actually had one, at least one, where I gave and gave and gave, and then I had nothing left to give. So a clue to the catabolic relationships to which you're willing to stay a victim exists in your willingness to change ratings. So look at the ones in your list. If you made that list, you can watch this later and stop and make your list. And those that you say, I'm not willing to change it, then you may be choosing to stay in a victim role to that. The second one is leave the relationship. Now, it's not really the second in choice, but if you don't like the relationship, you cannot or will not remain in it, you can't change it, you can't change the way you look at it, you can't accept it, then your remaining option is to leave or end the relationship. This is not necessarily a first choice, but it is a choice if none of the other options work. The third one is accept the relationship. So when you accept a relationship, you're suspending judgment, stress, burden. You're accepting this person and this relationship as it is. It's okay as it is. Maybe it's not great. Maybe it's not what you would prefer. But for various different reasons, you've decided that you want to stay in this relationship. And so you just accept that this is the way it is. It also means maybe that it's not worth the effort to change it. Or maybe it means that there's some things going on. Children or finances or different kind of things that can make you decide that I'm just going to accept it. I'm just going to stay here. The fourth one is to change the relationship. Now, first of all, you know that you cannot change other people. That's not what we're talking about. There are interactions in relationships, and there are interactions, and if you change the way that you behave in the relationship, then the other person is going to probably change also. They're not going to necessarily change the way you want them to, but they will probably change, and maybe they will change in the way you want them to. So maybe you can talk with the person. You can find a common point of agreement that enables this relationship to continue on. You can develop coping mechanisms. You can use your higher energy that you've learned from all the different things that we've talked about. And another thing is you can think about, instead of just saying what's in it for me, you can think about what's in it for us. The fifth one is to change your relationship by changing your perspective. So sometimes you can just change the way you're looking at the relationship, and maybe the relationship itself does not have to change, but your perspective. So here's some questions you can ask yourself. So how can you look at your relationship with a fresh pair of eyes? How can you see the other person from a new vantage point? What qualities do you appreciate, and how can you stay connected to your appreciation of these qualities? 4, how can you experience the relationship from a different position? 5, as it currently is, what are the opportunities available to you in the relationship? 6, what might the child in you appreciate about the other person? And 7, rather than looking at the relationship, how can you feel the relationship? So these are 5 different things. Like I said, they're simple to say. They're not so simple to do. There's definitely more to them than just what I've told you. And if you need some help with that, give me a call, contact me. Let's talk about abusive relationships for a minute. Coaches don't give advice. People that try to help people should not give advice. But the one advice I will give you is if you are in a physically abusive relationship, then you need to get away and be safe. Doesn't mean that you necessarily have to divorce at that right now, this minute, but you should not allow yourself to keep being abused physically. Too many women are killed, men are hurt, children are abused because people are afraid. If you are in a physical relationship and you are afraid, please message me. I will help you find shelter, find a way to get out and move out. But if you are in an abusive relationship that is not physically abusive, let me say, first of all, nobody can tell you when to leave. People can say it all day long, and they could be right, but you can't leave until you're ready to leave. Don't let people guilt you. Don't try to do it before you're not ready, because you're just going to move back in. And if you're in an abusive relationship, one of the things that's very important is you don't make threats that you won't keep. Now, I'm also talking about an alcoholic relationship or a drug addict relationship. These are not necessarily abusive, but they're definitely catabolic. They're definitely painful, destructive, hard relationships. In any of those, don't make threats that you're not willing to keep. So if you try to leave before you're actually ready, you're probably going to end up moving back. And then that makes it worse than ever. Leaving an abusive relationship is not easy. One thing I can suggest, if you think you should be leaving but you're not ready, start making a list of all the things that have happened, the things the other person does that are abusive. It's amazing how well, first of all, we love the person, probably. We love them, we care about them, we hope for them, we believe in them. We believe they have a good heart. We believe they can change. We want to change. We had this dream that we were going to be married for life, or this was the one, and we don't want that in. We don't want to give up that dream. We have children. We have financial issues. There are so many different things that make it hard to leave an abusive relationship. So you have to take it bit by bit. One, make the list. Help yourself notice the reality of your life. I spent many years of my life believing what I wanted to believe. I just kept believing it was going to change, and it did not. And so I finally got to a point that I had to say, I'm done with this and move on. I've actually been single, happily single, for 7 years now, and I'm not in any catabolic relationships at the moment, and that is very, very joyful for me. So I'm not going to go on anymore with the abusive relationships right now. We can talk about it more. One thing is, if you're in an alcoholic or drug addict relationship, I really suggest that you go to Al-Anon or read their books. They have such great information that will help you, whether you decide to stay, whether you decide to leave. Celebrate Recovery is a Christian 12-step that also can help you a lot. Obviously, I believe that hiring me as a coach could help you. If you get in a 12-step program and you get a sponsor, they can help you too. So many times your friends and your family are too close to you to be able to help you. They'll support you, but when you're trying to talk through things, many times they are too close to you. They love you so much, and they just want what's best for you, and they override your feelings and thoughts, and they just want you to be safe. They want you to be happy. And as far as I was concerned, people weren't necessarily telling me to leave, but I could tell from the way they talked that that's what they wanted, and I just couldn't do it till it was ready. So again, if you need help on any of this, contact me on my Facebook page, on my website, on the Work With Me page. Fill out the form at the bottom of the page, and let's talk and see if we could work together and if I can help you out there. Meanwhile, I hope you got some good information. We're going to keep on. We're going to talk some more about the social influencers next week and possibly the week after that. We're going to talk about some communication skills. We're going to talk about how to make sure that you've got some good support around you, and just figure out ways to make our social factors, our social influencers, work for us, not against us. I hope you'll have a great week.